Welcome to New Business in Later Life with me, Ildikó Sealey. I'm an entrepreneur, the routine queen, and the champion of thriving over 50. I'm obsessed with morning routines, energized living, and building businesses that work with your life, not against it. Let's dive in. Hi, Lisa. So you experienced a fatal car accident, which obviously wasn't affecting you fatally, not too long ago, and then the loss of your parents shortly after each other. That led you to set up a business to help other people find their calm. Would you like to tell us about it?
Yes, very, very much. And firstly, thank you for having me here as well. You're quite right. Fatal car accident, going back a couple of years now. Fortunately for me, the other person involved in the accident was the at-fault person. It had the most awful of endings. Which, if you've never been in that situation, it's very difficult to describe. It gave me a new starting point in my own life, one, to respect the other person that was involved in the accident, but also it made me start questioning my own life.
Yeah, I was going to say, how did the trauma affect you?
The trauma, it was a whole gamut of emotion to begin with. First, there was the disbelief. I was literally driving along the road 1 minute and my whole life changed within seconds.
Yes.
It really did. Waking up the morning after the accident, it happened in an afternoon, and waking up the following morning, it's like that dawning of realisation that it's actually happened as well. And you've got the police involved, you've got everybody involved that needs to be involved, and it's just an absolute whirlwind. So it's when that dies down a little bit that the trauma really starts to kick in, because you're still working through that. Did that happen? How did that happen? Why did it happen? All of those questions.
Were you at all involved? You said that the other person was at fault.
Yes.
Still,
yes.
You don't expect somebody to lose their life.
You don't.
When you're on the road, you don't set out with that in mind.
No, you absolutely do not. And I can actually narrow down that time frame as well to 1.35 seconds.
Oh, wow.
And that's the length of time it takes to change two people's lives in reality. Because what happened is she was on a push bike, riding on the pavement, and she came off the pavement into the side of my car. And from her leaving the pavement, it was 1.35 seconds before she hit my car. Just trying to understand what even happened in those moments, in that 1.35 seconds.
Yes.
Took a lot of getting your head around. And it was only several months later at the inquest when the actual facts, the raw facts came to light, because you're not really kept involved by the police at this point.
Okay.
They just take your car, take your phone, take everything, and you're left by the roadside. They did take me home, but you've then, from driving along the road on a normal Sunday afternoon to suddenly being in this awful position. And obviously the other lady involved was in a far worse position. So it was actually a really horrific experience. It really was. But the only clarity for me came several months later, following that inquest, because that's when I did get those facts and figures, and the level of understanding that I'd not had to that point. So that was a very, very difficult part in my life, I've got to say.
How did that trauma start to manifest itself into something that you do now?
Firstly, it was my first real brush with mortality, I have to admit. And I mean that in terms of my own mortality, because it could have been any of us on that push bike, losing control of the push bike.
Right.
And that came through right from the very start, I have to admit. And just made me question what life's about, because I've always worked full time since I was 18 years old.
Right.
I've never been without a job until now. So you start to ask yourself, is this what life is really all about? Should I be doing more with my life? Is there something that I can do to support other people through trauma?
Are you exhausted and running your business on empty? Well, join my free 3-day Facebook challenge starting on 21st of October and discover health routines that give you more focus and energy. Sign up today by getting your free guide. The link is in the show notes. Can I just ask,
Yeah.
did you receive the kind of support you would have needed or you wanted at the time?
I did suffer with PTSD for a while. And that still creeps back every
Well,
now
that's
and
no
again,
surprise at
obviously.
all.
No, I think it's relatively normal in that kind of situation. And I was referred to a service through the National Health and was declined. Not enough time had passed between me
How
seeking
long
the
a time does need to pass before you actually get support?
Apparently at least 6 months.
Oh, okay. So what did you do then within that shorter period of time?
I sought alternative therapies, one of which was provided by my workplace through the Employee Assistance Programme. And I had a number of therapy sessions through that, which were... Now, I've had therapy in the past, and I think it's a wonderful thing. And I think that everybody should go through it, whether you feel you need it or not.
You're not the first person who I've heard this from.
Yeah, it's an amazing experience because it takes you on that journey of self-discovery.
Yes.
However, in this instance, it really didn't work for me.
Interesting. How come?
Well, I don't want to pay any kind of disrespect to the therapist, but I believe she was more of a children's therapist.
Okay, interesting.
And not used to dealing with people in my kind of situation. And for the first 2 or 3 sessions I had with her, she would just sit with her head in her hands at the horror of the experience that I'd gone through. So
it feels like that she was emotionally involved with your story rather than being impartial to help you come out of it.
Supporting me through it. Again, it's probably quite a natural reaction on her part, but it didn't give me what I needed at that point in time. So I stuck through the process, but after that, I actually self-funded several hypnotherapy sessions, and that was a whole different ballgame. Right. That was a really good experience, and actually brought through a lot of other things, like from childhood, various traumas. And lucky sitting here, I would say they're quite mild, but it's amazing how they still continue to affect you through the rest of your life.
I mean, through being in business, and I'm pretty certain that you are experiencing similar things. You go through all kinds of self-development, books, sessions, workshops, webinars.
You do.
Everything. And you do realise there's some real light bulb moments how deep-rooted some minute little situations in your childhood that you still remember so clearly. And that's how you realise quite how deep-rooted they are and how they affect your life.
Very much. And that was quite a surprise to me in reality. But an excellent experience, and really supported me through the trauma and the PTSD. So it was very good.
So all that support, well, obviously your trauma and then the support, how is that helping you?
I think through most of my life, I've been a person who supports others. I've done a number of courses and workplace interactions where I've been the go-to person for other people. Because people find me easy to talk to, maybe because I'm a bit on the quieter side, maybe because I'm a good listener. I'd like to think I was. But through all of that, and then through supporting my parents through their illnesses as well, it just seems like a natural fit in supporting and holding other, particularly women. I'm not excluding men here, but particularly women, in holding them up and allowing them to have that space, which I got to a degree after the accident, but could have used a lot more of at other points in my life. So I don't like the idea of other people having to struggle and suffer through experiences where they don't feel that help is out there, or they declined for help.
That's a really interesting viewpoint. So would you like to tell us what you do to help people?
Yes, so I am in the process of launching my new business, which is called Unfrazzled. And it really does what it says on the tin. It's designed to... Well, the first part of the launch is actually my subscription box, which is very much built around people who have messy minds. They might be struggling from overwhelm. They might have some kind of neurodiversity. They might just have incredibly busy lives, or be struggling to know how to put one foot in front of the other. So it's planner-based, It's not just planner-based, but the first box contains a really beautiful planner that I've designed myself and had produced. The idea is that it's very clean, lots of white space where you can just start to manage and organise your life in the way that suits your brain. So, like I said, that could encompass a whole load of different stuff, just from sheer overwhelm to ADHD, for example.
Have you got any neurodiversity
at 60
diagnosis?
years old, I've been diagnosed with ADHD. Yeah, can you believe that? 60 years old.
I tell you what, you are not the first guest who said something similar. I think it potentially comes with a bit of wisdom and quite a bit of awareness. And nowadays it's being talked about a lot more openly. Did you kind of self-diagnose first and then went to the doctors, or have you actually been to the doctors with it?
Yeah, I have got formal diagnosis. I didn't even start down the self-diagnosis route for quite a long time. I just knew that I felt different. Yeah. And I'm sure everybody who crosses your path would say the same thing. You start to feel different. You don't feel like you quite fit in. Even going back to a child, you don't quite fit in. If there's like an inner circle, you're always on the outside.
Sadly, I know it very, very well.
Yeah. And struggling with long-term friendships and just organisation. I mean, I'm the most messy person that I know, and it also drives me to distraction. So I knew there was something going on. I didn't have a name for it. When I was young, there wasn't a name for it, particularly among girls and women. And I don't know if that's why more women are getting diagnosed now, because they're so underdiagnosed.
I think as it's out in the public a lot more, ADHD and autism and the different, we are all on the spectrum. And I was listening to the radio the other day, and this doctor was explaining that basically the reason the numbers are going up is because there have been a number of conditions that were given names, but now they've all been grouped into just being on the spectrum of autism, and they're just being slotted into different sections of that.
Yeah, very much so. I saw yesterday that Annie Lennox at 70 has just been diagnosed as well.
She pretty much got through her life, hasn't she?
She has, but she's really done it right, hasn't she? She's got an amazing talent and she's harnessed that.
Yes.
Where I've, through my life, I've felt very constrained by a 9-to-5 job. And trying to fit into a corporate environment.
How did you manage that with your ADHD brain? Obviously not even knowing that you had an ADHD brain.
But I didn't. I'm going to be really honest and say that it's been a struggle. It really has been a struggle. But I've been lucky in a lot of instances that my work, the day job as I call it, as a bid manager, involves quite a lot of creativity.
Do you still have your day job?
I lost my job 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
I was made redundant.
Okay. So, well, this gives you the freedom to
I think the
to
universe is pushing me in a direction here. I really do.
Absolutely.
It's suggested things a few times and now it's bullied me into it. So here we go.
I do like those situations, though, when you are sort of thinking about something and then somebody else makes a decision for you. And it's like, yeah, let's just go a completely different way now.
I know. And I had written my exit plan, but it was a 12-month exit plan. It's now a 2-month exit plan.
You asked for the universe.
I did. I asked for the universe's help, and it gave me not quite in the way I expected, but here we are.
This will give you the time freedom, at least.
It will.
To develop your own services.
I know. And just in the 2 weeks since that happened, I'm technically until tomorrow on garden leave, I've made such giant strides in progress. I really have. And it's a wonderful feeling to be doing something where you can work with your own rhythms, because my energy is really high in the morning, and then it dips in the afternoon, but then I'm peaking again at 5-6 o'clock. So I can work to my own rhythms instead of having to fit into those timescales.
When did you figure out these rhythms, when you work best, or has it been something that's been on your radar for some time? It has
been on my radar for some time. And this is one of the 9-to-5 struggles, because I have a routine in place in the morning. I'm an early riser.
What do you do? I love morning routines. Come on, I'm the routine queen.
I'm not in the 5 a.m. club, but it's in my own private 6 a.m. club where I'm always up and about, and I start my day in complete silence, and I journal and I learn, and just take that really lovely time of day to get my own peace and get my own equilibrium before I'm forced out into another situation that I know is going to be a tough day to get through.
Before we move on, can we just drill into that a little bit?
Yeah,
so what sort of things do you journal about? Do you have a few set questions for yourself, or is it just a mind dump?
It's both.
Okay.
It depends on the morning. So it could just be how am I feeling this morning? Anything that I wanted to reflect on from the previous day. It could just be free writing. And sometimes after that, I don't even know what I've written until later, because it just comes straight from the mind down on paper, and it's almost like it's just passing through.
Do you get yourself any prompts from anywhere, or you just let your mind flow free?
Sometimes I will use a prompt. We haven't spoken about this, but I've actually designed a set of reflection cards.
Is this part of
my business
subscription box?
These haven't been seen by other human eyes yet, but I had the first sets through on Friday last week. And in that, there are journal prompts in there just to take 10 minutes and reflect, and a topic for reflection.
Is it to help people who are journaling for the first time?
Yes.
I suppose anyone, but it's a bit hard to start.
Yeah, so as part of that deck, there aren't just the journaling prompts. There are some little 1-minute routines, which might just be a breathing routine, anything that can help you to unwind, reduce anxiety. There's some little creative cards in there, one of which is lovely. It's just, imagining the night sky with the stars, and then the stars are raining down on you and imbuing you with their light. So really just lovely pauses.
Yes, it's so important, because they kind of feed into both your mental health and your spiritual health. It helps you connect with yourself. Depending on the prompts, you connect with your values, and it sort of just energizes you for the day ahead. Or with your mental health, you align with yourself, you find your purpose in those little moments, and then you can concentrate on your work that much better.
Very much, yeah. So doing all of that in the morning really grounds me for the day, and prepares me for whatever else might cross my path during that day.
And then the other thing you mentioned was learning. What sort of things are you learning in the morning, and how long do you spend on that?
I would say on average half an hour. So it's only a pause in the day. But again, that can take several forms. One, I'm always enrolled in some course or another. They may be short course. I may be using Blinkist or something like that, just for those little snapshots of learning.
Sorry, that's not something I've heard of.
So Blinkist is a kind of what it sounds like. It condenses larger pieces into something small.
Oh, okay. Again, it's very helpful for someone with an ADHD brain, I suppose.
Yeah.
That instead of all the waffle and you lose concentration and interest, you can just get the most important message out of.
I'm also a big fan of BBC Maestro, with all of their learnings on there as well.
I've been looking at that myself.
Yeah. So I'm working through the public speaking one at the moment, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I'm doing a public speaking course here at the Progressive Academy.
Excellent.
Yes.
And how are you finding that?
Amazing. I mean, I've been doing it for 6 months, and within that I've now launched my business. I've written my 6-week program.
Yeah.
I'm now offering my one-to-one service. It's all moving forward. It's fabulous. And I've got a couple of speaking gigs
excellent
secured now for a local conference in Plymouth, and a networking event when I'll convert it into a workshop, like all the little health routines, because it will be for business people, and it's busy entrepreneurs who I appeal to.
Yes.
So it's been incredibly challenging in that sense, but in a very, very positive way, because basically it's not the course that's challenging, actually. It's me challenging myself to move forward with it.
Yeah.
And
I think...
And I am moving forward with it, and it's absolutely fabulous. So how are you doing yours?
I'm doing okay with it. I've always, as well as having the ADHD tendencies, I've been quite an introvert for a lot of my life as well. And now I'm sitting here, I'm wondering how much of a link there is between those two. I have done public speaking before, but not for a long time.
In what sort of shape or form?
So I've done a lot of event organisation in the past, mainly for charity work.
Okay.
And I've had to stand on stages and talk about those. But it's a while ago now. So I feel very out of the loop on things like that. So I know I need to push myself to do that in the here and now as well. So there's that phrase, isn't there? Get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you do it a few times. It's like, oh, it hasn't killed me, so I can just get on with it and not worry about those bits.
That's right. The earth hasn't actually opened up and swallowed you.
Absolutely.
And you've survived it, and actually you've probably got quite a buzz from it at the same time.
And it's quite good because then when you get that feeling of like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? You can immediately turn that what you might perceive to be fear into excitement.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, I can tell all these people about what I want to talk about and educate them or entertain them.
There is a tip I do always remember as well. I've worked with a lot of senior business, men and women, during my working life. And one of them was a director of one of the world's top 100 companies. We were just chatting and about public speaking, because we were working on a proposal for a very large company. The proposal itself was worth £600 million. He said to me, the way I do it is relax my shoulders. If you relax your shoulders and force your shoulders to relax, you can't feel tense.
Okay.
I've tried it a few times and it seems to work. I don't know if it would hold water in a scientific environment. But
do you do any meditation practices? Because I find that when I sit down, even if I'm in a bit of a rush and still do my meditation practice, because I've been doing it for many years now, I can literally relax my entire body and get in state for the meditation in a matter of seconds because I'm just so used to the whole process. So it's just something that you practice.
It is.
Okay, that's something I'll try.
Yeah.
Funny enough, some years ago, I went to an event. That was still back when I was in creative practices, so quite a lot of years ago. And I don't even know how it all came about, but this gentleman did a presentation. I suppose to us all, creatives tend to be very sort of in with their practice, but don't really know how to sell themselves. He was saying if you clench your buttocks, nobody can see it, but you can't feel nervous when you clench your buttocks. It kind of gives you that, I don't know, confidence or something. So I suppose the two together, you just sort of slump your shoulder. Well, not slump, but, down with the shoulders, clench your buttocks, and away you go.
I had to forget what I was saying at that point.
That's quite a jump, actually, going from applying for bids for like £600 million, you said, to now creating your subscription boxes for individual people.
Yes. I'm going to say this very tongue-in-cheek, but I think I've made a lot of money for other people. It's time to work for myself.
Oh, absolutely.
And make those practices work.
Obviously, you said that you've literally just got one more day off your leave and then you are officially not working.
Unemployed or self-employed.
Well, self-employed, absolutely. Did the idea of Unfrazzled start with coming out of that trauma? Was it the first time you ever thought about becoming self-employed or running your own business?
It really was. Because not long after the trauma of the event, I lost both my parents as well. And I actually found myself at a point in my life where I was approaching the age that I am now. And for the first time in my adult life, I felt really lost. Because with my parents, I've got a wonderful sister, but she lives a distance away.
Right.
And I was the one that was closest to my parents. So the responsibility for them, getting them to the hospital at midnight, 2 a.m. in the morning, all of that fell onto my shoulders. And, I really focused a lot of my life on supporting them and making sure that they were as well and healthy as they could be, as they were well into their 80s at that point.
Right.
And so I would be taking them out for dinner in the week, making sure that they were okay. Never a day went by when I didn't even speak to them. Took them out for Sunday lunches and my mum shopping on Saturdays, which was her time very much. And then suddenly, when all that's suddenly gone within such a short period.
I was just about to say you had quite a routine going with them. Do you have children?
I don't have children.
It's kind of like people do say that, don't we? That we kind of like get to the end of our lives and then our children look after us.
Yes.
I mean, I've got none, so gosh knows what's going to happen when we get to that stage. But hey, let's see. But yeah, it very much sounds like as if you had a pair of children to look after in a way.
In a way, yes.
To make sure that their weekly routine is kept up, that
Yes.
they've got company, they are looked after.
Yeah, and they still had some joy in their lives at that point as well.
Do you think you may have experienced a very similar feeling to what people say when their children grow up and go to uni and leave home, and there's this empty nest syndrome?
I think so.
And something similar when you lost both your parents very shortly after each other.
Yeah, I've got close friends who went through exactly that experience of the kids going to university, and do you remember sitting with a full-grown man in the car, and he was just sobbing his heart out because his daughter had gone. She was only 40 miles away, but she'd gone to university. I mean, it was lovely to see on one hand, it really was, the depth of emotion and the feeling that he had of separation from her, which of course never happened because she's still very much in his life.
It's that daily routine, the loss of that daily
yeah.
routine and the daily contact with that person.
Yeah. And even now, a little while down the line, I still get the urge to pick up the phone and say, oh, I'll let my mum know about that, or I'll let my dad know about that, because it's always still there. And it's quite ingrained at that point.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, so it was a big loss of routine and a big loss of my own identity as well, because I'd spent my kind of free time that was outside of the working day was really about them. Don't get me wrong, they were still quite independent in their own way. They still did their own cooking. My dad still nipped as far as the shop in his car. No further than that, thankfully. It was a very big shock for me, actually. I never would have expected to have felt like I did, but there was that real sense of not only the loss of my parents, but the loss of who I was, particularly on the back of the other trauma that I'd experienced.
Do you think you probably hadn't finished processing that trauma yet anyhow?
I don't think so. I don't think I did.
So at what point did you write your 12 months plan to become self-employed?
Probably about 3 months ago, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because as well as having Unfrazzled, the subscription box and all that entails, I'm writing courses to go alongside that. I am also embarking on a coaching career. Probably not. I'm not going to compare myself to you because you're
but I tell you what, I think it seems to be, I don't want to use the word trend, but you know what I mean? A thing maybe that we get to a point in our lives when we would like to, one, and most important, I think this is what comes across, help others. And this is exactly what you've been talking about. But then we've now got enough life experience and knowledge to be able to pass that on.
Yeah.
In the appropriate way.
Yeah, I really do agree with that. And I think the one thing that's been strong through my whole life is, I love people, and I do want to support other people. And the thought of people experiencing some of those traumatic experiences that come to all of us with life and age, I just feel that's where my heart is taking me. It's not kind of a practical decision. I probably wouldn't have designed this scenario naturally, but it feels like my heart is being pulled that way.
Because I was going to say, obviously, you're kind of heading for retirement age and you've been made redundant. Some could potentially be thinking like, well, hey, I'm just going to take all this money and go and travel the world and do nothing and retire.
Yeah.
Yet you actually wrote a plan to get out of employment and into self-employment.
Yes, I did.
To carry on working, very much so.
Yeah, and both arms of Unfrazzled are very much intertwined as well. It feels like a very natural progression. I mean, the one thing I can't abide the thought of is doing nothing. I know that would be some people's utopia, but it's not mine. I have to have something, and maybe this is the ADHD brain, I don't know, but I do have a very, very busy mind that needs to be kept occupied, and this is just the perfect outlet for that as well. And I feel really driven every day to pursuing that. It's quite a wonderful feeling, and I don't think age has any bearing of that at all. I think that when we get to a certain age, we can bring through that wisdom, the life lessons that we've had, the wins, the losses. I feel that it gives us such a good grounding for finally taking the opportunity to do something for ourselves and for others.
Sorry, I thought you were going to say for others.
Well, I was, but for ourselves, this is ourselves working for ourselves, but also supporting others along that journey. And that feels to me like a really good place to be.
If you are nodding along because you feel stretched thin, you are not alone. My Routine Club helps entrepreneurs reset their focus and energy so they can scale without burnout. The link to the Routine Club is in the show notes. Would you like to tell us more about your actual process of how you got from employment, either as a thought process and a physical process from employment to self-employment?
From the employment process, I've a bid manager by profession. And I've been doing that for, I'm going to say, probably 30 years, the best part. I've never actually sat and added them up, but it's got to be around that, if not longer. Most bid managers last 4 or 5 years, if it's that long, because burnout is a huge thing in that profession. Okay. There's a stereotypical cartoon of a bid manager at a desk surrounded by pizza boxes because they can't go home to eat. They're just permanently at the desk, sleeping at the desk, working through the night.
That sounds like the entrepreneurial life.
Yeah, maybe I'm just used to that way of living. But it can lead quite quickly to burnout. I used to work for the RAC and have been literally delivered home on the back of an RAC truck with my car on the back and me in the cab because there's just no way I could have driven home. And I've had many experiences like that. I've served my time, I think, in that profession. Mm. And of late, I mean, I've been very grateful for the companies that have employed me and for the security and all that goes with being an employee. But it was starting to lose its shine for me.
Okay.
It was almost got from that nervous energy that you need for that role to, dare I say it, boring.
After 30 years, to be honest, if you've done it all, then yes, potentially the routine of the work could become boring.
Yeah, what sparks me off is the creativity that goes alongside that. And during the last couple of years, because I've gone into the company that I've worked for, set up the whole systems, set up everything that needs to be set up, it then started to get quite routine. And I don't really thrive with routine.
Well, I would beg to differ. Having told me about your morning routine, that sounds perfectly well suited.
Yes, yeah. But in the day in, day out of an office environment, it feels like a whole different thing.
And funny, just going back a tiny little bit from earlier, I was going to ask back, you do very well in the morning and then you do very well late afternoon onwards, but sadly, like a 9 to 5 office kind of setup doesn't allow you to go in early, have a siesta and then go back later on, does it?
Yes, no, it doesn't at all. I mean, the Spanish have got it right with their siestas, they really have. And just taking that pause time.
Have you ever thought about going to live in Spain?
I did dally with the idea at one point, but with the scenario at home with my parents and everything,
right? Of course.
The furthest I went to live was London for a while with a job. But yes, it was, which was a great experience.
So back to your process of going from a corporate employment into self-employment.
So the process was, or the intended process was to set my subscription box up as a form of semi-passive income, and then to focus on the coaching until that was making an income that would replace what I was earning or getting to a point where I would have a sustainable lifestyle, and then hopefully grow from there. Like I said, the timeframes were cut rather short. But as I'm now in a position where I am doing the learning and really experiencing the joy of that learning again, it feels like such a good place to be. Although there's still that shock of redundancy, and I'm going to be honest and say that I'm still processing that.
Okay.
So I'm still dreaming through it at night and all of those things, but that will die down, I know. But yeah, it gives me a period now where I don't necessarily need to earn any money, but can concentrate fully on Unfrazzled, the subscription box, and the Unfrazzled coach at the same time.
I don't know. I kind of see it, rightly or wrongly. Obviously, I don't know if you received any redundancy money and how long that would last. But if you had received the redundancy money, then you could still look at it. You could still keep to that plan that, I'll be using that money for a while in certain ways, and then I build up my coaching alongside it to sort of meet the financial side of your 12 months plan. at the right time.
Yeah.
I kind of see it as it's giving you time freedom.
It does actually.
Because you don't have to bog yourself down at work 9 till 5 with a timetable that doesn't suit you.
Yeah. I can start at 6 a.m. with my morning routine, get into my learning, the elements of the subscription box that I'm focusing on that given day.
Go for a walk in the afternoon when you are not,
and
when your brain is less receptive.
Yeah, and then back at it in the evening. It's actually the perfect routine for me because it does allow me to take advantage of my body's natural rhythms and also that creative spark that gave rise to Unfrazzled in the first place. So yes, it feels like all the pieces are fitting together. Not quite in the timescale that I'd set out for it, but
just go with it.
That's life.
Just go with it.
Yeah.
I do find it very difficult sometimes to just properly embrace it, but I do make every effort possible that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. And all these things are happening to get you where you need to be or you want to be. And everything is teaching us a little lesson and everything is helping us. I think from an outsider point of view, all I see that this is the best thing that could have happened to you for giving you the time that you want to give back with your creations.
Yeah, I believe that that's what it will, fully believe that that's what it will turn into be. And it's time to put my faith in that and in the universe. Funny you were talking about meditation. I actually did a meditation before I got made redundant. It was the day before. So I was on holiday, had the Monday off. My meditation was the Monday and I went into the news on the Tuesday from work. I did a meditation. And in this meditation, it was a guided meditation.
Yes.
Where I was invited to meet my future self.
Yes.
And asked my future self what I needed to know right now. And my future self held my hands and said to me, whatever happens, know that the universe has your back. Then I went into redundancy on the Tuesday. And here I am. Yeah.
It's so powerful. Our own thoughts are so incredibly powerful.
I know. I think the signs were there. The signs have been there for a while. So in how I was feeling, the way things were at work, and call it intuition, call it whatever you want to, but I was getting, one way or another, I was getting towards that point.
Yeah, well, I see that you found your purpose and alignment, and you can now deliver in line with your own values,
exactly,
not with somebody else's values.
Yeah, and for mine and others' benefits. I'm not sitting here saying I want to be driving a Lexus in a few weeks or anything like that, but it would be nice to be in control of my own destiny. So
go on, tell me any quirky things about your business.
Quirky things about my
business. You've given me one little piece of information that's quite quirky. It's your self-appointed CEO.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I do have cats. Not by choice, I have to say.
Okay.
They were more foisted on me, but, I love them dearly, absolutely. And one of them is a real character. His name's Sydney. He's always up to some kind of escapade. So he's very much featuring in my newsletters and on my Instagram as our CEO.
With his antics.
Yeah.
Things. Okay, go on. What sort of stories can you tell us? What does he do?
Okay, so one particular instance, well, there are two instances actually that really stick out in my mind. My cats are indoor cats.
Right.
Between you and me and everyone else is listening, I've got a particular neighbour who isn't cat friendly. And
that's a shame.
It is. So
and the cats find those people, don't they?
And they, unfortunately, has been very unpleasant to other cats in the neighbourhood. So mine are indoor cats. But one of them, Sydney has the spirit of adventure, and he loves going down the garden on a lead and collar.
Okay.
Yeah, so I take him. Looks ridiculous. He's got this little camo harness and he goes off down the garden with me. So I started letting him off a little bit. I put a satellite tracker on, a proper satellite tracker where you can literally see where he's going.
Probably not very far, actually.
He didn't go very far. I had the most horrific anxiety while it was doing this. It was awful.
I'm pretty certain he knew which side of his bread was buttered and he came back home.
Well, I'm not so sure. But he did. The first time I let him off, and he went out of the garden, and he did come back, and I thought, I'm not going to go and grab him. I'm just going to let him come back to me. Anyway, he came over the fence, and that was great. And then I heard this weird noise, and I thought, what's that? Anyway, the next thing, he came flying up the garden, absolutely soaking wet. He'd taken an absolute dive into the pond. And it wasn't just his paws, it was everything. Tail to head, really dunked. That was his first experience of the outside world.
Probably he thought, I'm not going anywhere after this.
I know.
Or then again, do you know if
No.
there were any goldfish in that pond?
No, there was no goldfish
Okay.
in the pond.
Because potentially that could have been the inspiration to go into the pond.
The pond...
Probably was covered with some greenery.
Yeah, it was starting to be covered, and I think he just mistook it for a solid surface, and it wasn't. And then he took another trip into a neighbour's house, and the satellite tracker looked like he was walking backwards and forwards across their roof. So I went to try and find him. And
Was he indoors?
he was indoors on their cat's hammock in the window.
Get out.
He's
My friends, they're
ridiculous.
assholes. They really are.
He is, and he's
I
the
love them.
biggest one of all. I pop his little adventures in my newsletters sometimes, and he's.
Is there any other
he's
ways
just
that he sort of
funny.
manifests himself into your business, like into your branding or...
Yeah, I'm toying with the idea of, as part of Unfrazzled, there are lots of elements to the subscription box. So it's not just the planner. After the first box, the planner not diminishes, but you just get the modules because you've got the planner itself. So there are other activities involved in the subscription box. And I've got the thought of making a series of Sydney colouring pages.
Okay.
I've got one I've done already with his little head.
So
sticking
it's a
out
bit
of the
like the
pond.
doodle
Yeah.
kind of line.
So adult colouring, just those mindful activities that give us that real distraction every now and again.
But that's really nice because if he's providing you with stories,
Yes.
that makes this process a little bit easier. And I mean, look at Simon's cat. You never know.
Yes.
Sydney could be the next
Be the next Simon's cat.
Simon's cat. Absolutely.
He could, and he's very photogenic as well. He's quite a quirky looking boy because he's ginger and white. He has a big Roman nose, but he's always engaged with everything. He's into everything.
love ginger cats.
He's lovely, yeah.
Is he all fluffy?
No, he's a short hair.
Right.
He's a short hair, but he's certainly a character. So he will continue to make an appearance through the newsletters, through Instagram and all of those things as well, Facebook. And people just like to engage with those things, don't they?
Oh, absolutely.
They make us as entrepreneurs more human, I think, and add a little humour as well.
Yeah, they certainly bring a lot of laughter into our lives, don't they?
Do. They really do. Do you have cats yourself?
Not anymore. I've lost all my pets now
Yeah.
to more or less old age. I never felt right putting a pet down. It's kind of like, it was always a bit alien to me. But then sadly in the end, because they can't really care for themselves, you just sort of have to make that decision for them, don't you, in a way?
I think that they tell you when the time's right.
I don't know. Probably. Or, I don't know. With my lot, I kind of just felt like that it became kind of cruel to keep them going
Yes.
with so much pain.
Yeah.
Or like, my cat, she just sort of collapsed in the evening. And at that point, I just thought she just laid down on the floor. And then when in the morning she was still in exactly the same position, I came to realize that she was actually kind of more or less paralyzed. So then you know what I mean? Then
Yeah.
not so much telling, but then I could see the signs that if she can't actually get up anymore to do anything, even to drink or
Yeah.
eat or go toilet, by then she was confined to my bedroom.
Yeah.
Then that was the day that I had to
Yes.
say goodbye to
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
So I do
It's
miss
not
that. I really miss having cats. I love their warmth, their purr, and the
is,
fun they
yeah.
bring to your everyday life. Absolutely. But it's really nice how he's kind of weaving his little character into your business and adding a very different but really good dimension.
Yeah,
to
they're
it.
part of our lives, aren't they? They're part of our own stories. So, I have woven my other cat into there a little bit as well because he's been very poorly. I know this is maybe going a little off topic, but it has been very, very poorly. In fact, I've written an article that I'll publish it on Substack if nowhere else about insurance and animal care.
Okay.
Because Eli's care is now up at about £6,500.
Oh, wow.
That's been another tough time in itself, because when your animal's really healthy, but he develops a single problem, and then trying to get him cared for. I was having to take him to the vets at 2 a.m. in the morning, for example.
But again, sharing these stories with people who are in similar situations to
Yeah.
you and helping them get over any kind of trauma, this is a kind of trauma as well.
Yeah.
We get really attached to our pets.
Yeah.
So weaving this into your offerings is quite natural.
Yeah, and we're human, aren't we? And it's all part of our human story. So yes, I've written quite a not a scathing article, but an article on insurance in general, and particularly focus on motor insurance and pet insurance, and how sometimes even owning a pet can become quite elitist now, because when you have big surgeries and you have to pay for them up front.
Like for your pet. Right.
So I had to find the £6,000 to start with to have.
Oh, yes, of course. You need to pay for the treatment before you can claim on insurance anyway. And then they assess whether it's covered or not.
They do. And then you have to wait for 6 weeks to be paid out. You've got to be in a position to be able to fund that up front.
Yes.
So it feels like pet ownership is quite elitist, where, pets bring such a lot of joy into people's lives. And when people maybe get older or have other issues, and we'll take neurodiversity because we've been on that topic, they provide such good companionship.
Yes.
And when it starts to become elitist to own a pet, it just feels like there's something not quite right there to me.
Never ever thought of it that way.
Yeah, well, what would it, if I couldn't have found that £6,000, what would have been my option?
How old was the cat?
He's 9.
It's not even that old.
No.
Because funny enough, I kind of made the decision, because I came to realize, renewing my dog's insurance when she was probably around 11, 12 years old, too old to be operated on. So I came to that conclusion, and I think we went to the vet for something, and it became obvious, we discussed it, that she's just a bit too old to be operated on now. So at that point, I thought, hang on a minute, her premium's gone up really quite a lot. Then I need to cover X percentage, which is like 35%. And then there was a mandatory access and so on. Then I thought, if any treatment cost X amount of money, what I would get back would be barely 40% kind of thing. And if she's too old to be operated on, then almost, what's the point? So at about, when she was turning about 12, I think, 11 or 12, I consciously decided to not pay the insurance anymore, because I thought, if she gets so ill, then I'm not going to let her suffer. And I would rather just put her out of her misery in that sense. And then she went on for another 3.5 years. And indeed, she did get quite ill, and operation would have solved the matter, but she was way too old at nearly 15 to be operated on. Yeah. So then I decided to have her put down at home, which was the best decision I ever made. Yeah. It was just, she never knew what was coming on. All she knew was that she was with her family, and that's enough for me to know. Yeah, that's, if you can do that for your pet, it's a wonderful thing. Yeah, heartbreaking but wonderful. Yeah, it was beautiful to be with her. But anyway, we are digressing a little bit on pets and emotions. But then again, these are, as you say, human emotions. And yes, indeed, what you are offering with Unfrazzled is to help people to deal with their emotions after some trauma. And yes, losing a pet is a trauma. Losing parents is a trauma. Yeah. Losing literally somebody next to you on the road is a major trauma. Yeah. Just going back to that on the road, one of the things about that was, it was all reported in the newspapers as well, and people automatically assume that as the car driver you're at fault. Oh my goodness, I think ever so often, sadly, it is the cyclists. I mean, the cyclists or the motorcyclists. So you're also being turned into a pariah at that point. In a situation where you have absolutely no control. So that was another aspect to it. And people are very opinionated, aren't they? Yeah. Very, very opinionated, and they don't bother with listening to the other side of the story. So how was it reported? Was it reported putting you in a bad light, or just simply that there was this road accident that was reported fatal? In the press about the road accident, and it didn't name any names, thankfully, but it was... reported relatively factually, but then opinion jumps onto the back of that. And then people just jump on the bandwagon.
Yes, that wasn't the fault of the press in that respect, but the assumption that people have, because then articles start to get commented on, particularly on social media, about how drivers need to take more care when there are cyclists involved. And
which is in itself true.
It is. But you also then find out that there's very little help out there for you from an insurance perspective, because you are not in a collision with a motor vehicle.
Well, yes, of course, you have to claim on your own insurance. How does that affect you?
And then the insurance itself doesn't, because they don't have an appetite to, I don't know how to put this nicely, so I'm just going to say it how it is, but they don't want to pursue a deceased person's estate because they don't have the appetite, then you are automatically held at fault from a technical perspective and an insurance perspective. So I had to fight so hard I refused to accept blame for an accident.
Well, of course, that you didn't. Why would you?
Yeah. But their attitude is, well, if we can't claim from another person, then fault lies with you. And that, I mean, it's a very technical opinion for a very non-technical subject. But in the way that policies are worded, that's how it works. But I refuse
My goodness,
to accept
that's putting this whole cyclist on the road situation in a very different light. I mean, recent law changes a couple of years back gave cyclists so much more right on the road, which is then leaving motorists in even bigger a loophole.
Very exposed and they're not forced to have insurance either. Very few cyclists have insurance. So you find out just how unprotected you actually are and how much you have to fight your own case and your own cause. They conceded in the end and didn't put it down as a fault accident against me, but it took a lot of work.
Fair play to you to fight it, because I was involved in an accident where I had to take the blame, although my insurance company initially accepted that I wasn't the one to blame. But when the perpetrator's father, who was a solicitor, then just put in a counterclaim, then the insurance company folded and said, can you just take the blame? So it's, for 5 years it affected my insurance. I had to report it that I was at fault and I wasn't.
Yeah, and you shouldn't have to do that.
So it's kind of like I didn't have to pay for the damage on my car, but I still had to report it for 5 years that I was at fault and I wasn't. And that leaves you violated for a whole lot of reasons, because the insurance company should be protecting you.
Yeah.
And then other people shouldn't be like that.
Did not feel that they had my back at that point at all.
Of course not.
Yeah. And even at the inquest, they sent a lawyer, not a solicitor, but a lawyer, to protect their own interests.
Well, of course they would, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They weren't protecting my interests, they were protecting their own interests. And I used to work in insurance. I was a big manager for a huge insurance company.
How ironic.
Yeah, and suddenly I found myself something that I'd actually believed in. It just was a complete letdown. It was really, it did add to the trauma of it, but it also kept me fighting as well. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Okay, that kept you strong.
Gave me a cause.
When I started over at 50, I learned the hard way. Now I know that health routines are the backbone of business success. So now I help other entrepreneurs do the same. Explore the Routine Club via the link in the show notes, because a healthier you makes a wealther you. Unfrazzled, gosh.
Yes.
Tell us what's in the future.
The name is trademarked as well. That was the first thing I did. I loved it so much. So for the future, we have the subscription boxes will be an ongoing monthly project.
Is it kind of like a 12 months program, or once somebody signs up, then it can potentially go on forever?
So there will be price tiers. So for a one-off box, for example, if you wanted to gift someone for Christmas, there's a 3 month tier, a 6 month and a 12 month. So the longer you sign up for, the cheaper it gets. So that will be ongoing. I'm also writing courses in the background. I have one ready to launch on rejection sensitivity, which is a big part of ADHD. And there will be others coming along there as well. I'm hoping to open a membership, but that's very early stages at the moment. That's just
it's kind of like the subscription box is kind of a membership in itself, isn't it?
Yeah. But I'd like to offer additional support alongside that. And things that come to mind immediately are things like some meditations that people can access. Things that have helped me and supported me, and you by the sound of it as well. As
Absolutely.
part of your journey. So I'd very much like to explore more of that. Now I've got a little bit more time. I've got the time to explore all of those things.
So your customers, are they people with neurodiversity issues or people with trauma, or well, potentially both?
How I couch it is, it's for overwhelmed and busy minds in whatever form that takes.
So whether trauma has caused it, and people associated with your experience, or whether they have neurodiverse issues, it will still benefit them.
But it's also for people who like to plan. It's for anybody really, anybody who just needs to get through from one day to another. I want people to feel when they get that box coming through the door like they've got a box of treasure.
Yes.
So there's a little craft in there. There'll be that in every month. There's your modules for your planner itself. There's stationery. One of my other loves is stationery. I love stationery.
So do you design the stationery that goes in the box?
I do.
With the cat on it as
some have cats. Yeah, some have cats. Some don't.
You never know. You might end up with a whole bunch of offers from cat lovers.
I may well, yeah. I do go to a number of gift and craft fairs and sometimes mind, body, spirit fairs as well with my general products, which includes things like notebooks. And so I do see those elements taking a bigger part in this as well. And the whole stationery aspect that will sit very nicely alongside. So there will be a product set alongside. So if you don't want the description box, you could have the planner.
Yes.
You could have the planner inserts.
And the notebooks and all sorts of other things.
Yeah. So they will all sit alongside there very nicely. And then, of course, there's a coaching side to it as well. I'm so excited about what the future holds with Unfrazzled.
That's wonderful.
I really am.
And I truly hope that you have inspired people who are in corporate and have been nursing ideas of doing something to help people or help themselves and go self-employed, whether part-time or full-time, or indeed, just like yourself, manifest the future into something much quicker than planned.
When you do get to that certain age, it's lovely to be able to look at your own lived experiences and expertise areas and just bring those through into a new business. Like we said before, age should never be a barrier for that. And I do think that starting out on a new business, certainly at my age, can just be a really freeing experience. And none of us are over the hill, are we? So I don't feel any different now to how I did at 40, 30, or even younger. I'm probably more energetic and more passionate about it all now.
That sounds brilliant. Yeah. On that note, Lisa, I wish you all the best with your subscription box and all the subsequent offerings that the new life brings you, and wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to come and talk about it as well.
You are very welcome. Thank you for listening to New Business in Later Life with me, Ildikó Sealey, where we say no to slowing down and yes to starting up. Loved what you've heard? Please share it, screenshot it, and tag me on socials. Let's show the world what thriving in later life really looks like, and share with a friend who is ready for their next chapter. Please subscribe so you are always in the loop. And if you were ready to stop running on empty and start running on purpose, well, come join us. All the links are waiting in the show notes, including my guests' contacts, the Entrepreneurs Club, and the few tools and services I personally use in my business to help you thrive in yours. Until next time, refuel, refocus, and reinvent.